White-collar crime is a financially driven, non-violent, or indirectly violent crime committed by people, businesses, or government officials. Welcome to today's episode of Fraud Files. We'll be talking about the case of a former UAW official who stole more than $2 million in union funds and was given a 57-month prison sentence. We will also talk about the case of a former operations manager who admitted embezzling $2.6 million plus and pled guilty according to an Italian shipping company. Let's get started. In Detroit, according to his convictions for embezzling $2.1 million in union funds and for money laundering, Timothy Edmunds, the former financial secretary-treasurer of Local 412 of the United Auto Workers Union, was sentenced to 57 months in prison. In March 2022, Timothy Edmunds, 54, of South Lyon, Michigan, admitted to embezzling union funds and money laundering in front of United States District Judge Sean Cox. He was found guilty and sentenced to prison. Judge Cox sentenced Edmunds to 57 months in jail, as well as $1 million in fines and $1,963,740.29 in reparations to UAW Local 412. Edmunds held the position of Financial Secretary-Treasurer for Local 412 of the United Automobile, Aerospace, and Agricultural Workers of America between 2011 and 2021. UAW Local 412 has its headquarters in Warren, Michigan, represents about 2,600 workers at Stellantis NV-owned carmaker FCA US LLC. Many of the workers at the Stellantis plants, all of which are located in the Detroit region, are members of the local union. This included Sterling Stamping Plant, Mack Engine Plant, Warren Truck Assembly Plant, Warren Stamping Plant, and Jefferson Assembly Plant. As an elected officer of UAW Local 412, Edmunds had a duty to hold the organization's assets solely for the benefit of the group and its members, and to administer, invest, and use the money in line with Local 412 bylaws and the UAW Constitution. Instead, Edmunds systematically siphoned off $2.1 million from the Local 412 accounts by 1. Using the organization's debit cards for more than $142,000 in private purchases, 2. Cashing $170,000 in Local 412 checks into accounts he personally controlled, and 3. Transferring $1.5 million from legitimate Local 412 accounts into accounts he personally controlled. Edmunds fabricated phony bank statements and had false labor management reports sent to the USDOL in order to hide his larceny from other UAW officers and the Local 412 members. To cover up his theft, Edmunds gave the fictitious bank statements to international UAW auditors. Evidence suggests that Edmunds used some of the money from his embezzlement to buy cocaine, a number of high-end cars, guns, and quite a bit of gambling equipment. For instance, Edmunds made over $30,000 in unlawful transactions from the Greektown Casino between 2018 and 2020 using the UAW Local 412 debit card. Mr. Edmunds betrayed his union brothers and sisters by stealing their dues money to satisfy his own greed, said U.S. State's Attorney Don N. Eisen. Today's sentence demonstrates our continuing dedication to cleaning out corruption in the UAW. Former UAW 412 Financial Secretary-Treasurer Timothy Edmunds embezzled approximately $2 million at the expense of the dues-paying members he had a duty to serve. We will continue to work with our law enforcement partners and the U.S. Department of Labor's Office and Labor Management Standards to protect the integrity of labor organizations, said Irene Lindow, Special Agent in Charge, Chicago Region, U.S. Department of Labor, Office of Inspector General. While the vast majority of union officials do their work diligently and without incident, unfortunately criminal violations do occur. When they do, it is the union and its members that are the victims. Timothy Edmunds embezzled over $2 million from UAW Local 412 that should have been used for its members' benefit. Not only did his theft take hard-earned money away from the workers who earned it and who paid it to their union to help advance their working conditions, his criminal conduct unfairly undercut union members and the public's confidence in this union and in the important work it and other unions perform, said Thomas Murray, District Director, U.S. Department of Labor, Office of Labor Management Standards. Edmunds is the 17th defendant to have been found guilty in relation to the continuing criminal investigation into corruption within the UAW or in relation to FCA executives' unlawful payments to UAW leaders. Other participants in the plan who have previously entered guilty pleas and received sentences include the following: Former UAW President Gary Jones received a 28-month sentence. Former FCA Vice President for Employee Relations Alphonse Iacobelli received a 66-month sentence. Former FCA financial analyst Jerome Durden received a 15-month sentence. Former FCA Director of Employee Relations Michael Brown received a 12-month sentence. Former senior UAW officials Verdell King received a 60-day sentence. Keith Mickens received a 12-month sentence. Nancy A. Johnson received a 12-month sentence. FCA US LLC, now known as Stellantis, admitted guilt to conspiring to violate the Taft-Hartley Act in January 2021 and was sentenced to pay a $30 million fine as well as 3 years of monitoring by an independent party. Before being punished, former senior UAW official Jeffrey Pietrzyk passed away. Based on the criminal investigation of the UAW, FCA US LLC, and FCA's officials, the United States filed a civil complaint under the Anti-Fraud Injunction Act against the International UAW in December 2020. After the U.S. District Court authorized a consent decree to end the legal dispute, the United States and the International UAW did so. The independent monitor of the UAW will be Neil Barofsky, an attorney, for a period of 6 years as selected by the court. Federal oversight of the UAW with regard to fraud, corruption, and misbehavior is the responsibility of the monitor. In a similar story, former operations manager admits embezzling $2.6 million plus and pleads guilty for embezzling against an Italian shipping company. According to U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Texas Chad E. Meacham, a Euless woman admitted guilt to stealing more than $2.6 million from her former employer, an international global logistics and freight forwarding firm. Vika Latai Moa, 36, entered a guilty plea to wire fraud before U.S. Magistrate Judge Irma Ramirez on March 27 after being charged with the crime on a felony information on March 17. Ms. Moa acknowledged in court records that she worked as an operations manager for Savina del Bene USA Incorporated, Savino USA, in the Dallas area between June 2016 and October 2019. The American division of the multinational logistics and freight forwarding firm Savino del Bene SPA is headquartered in New Jersey. Savino USA, among other things, subcontracts local deliveries to independent trucking firms to provide transportation services to its clients in the United States. Ms. Moa's duties at Savino USA included choosing and compensating these neighborhood subcontractors. Between June 2016 and October 2019, Ms. Moa misled Savino USA employees into believing that they owed money for trucking services. As a result, Savino USA paid more than $2.6 million to a bank account she had access to. For instance, Ms. Moa lied to Savino USA employees that a fictional business was a genuine transportation company as part of her conspiracy to steal money from Savino USA. She made false invoices for the trucking services the phony company allegedly rendered to Savino USA. Ms. Moa then instructed Savino USA to pay the bogus firm based on these false invoices, despite the fact that she was fully aware that the company had no operations and had not provided any services to Savino USA. Up to 20 years in federal prison are possible for Ms. Moa. She also consented to pay $2,623,888.44 in restitution as part of the plea bargain. Judge Karen Grin Scholar of the U.S. District Court will sentence her on September 22nd. The inquiry was carried out by the Dallas Field Office of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Fabio Lenardi, an assistant U.S. attorney, is in charge of the prosecution. And here we come to the end of today's episode of Fraud Files regarding a former UAW official who stole more than $2 million in union funds and was given a 57-month prison sentence, and a former operations manager who admitted embezzling $2.6 million plus and pled guilty according to an Italian shipping company. Please subscribe to our channel and push on that like button. Stay tuned to our channel for amazing videos like this one by clicking the bell icon. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comment section below about this event. We'll see you in another Fraud Files soon.